Welcome back. We continue paying tribute to former Minister in the Presidency, Jackson Mthembu. Almost sad to speak of him in that way. Very much the face of the government's onslaught in the fight against COVID-19, the first wave, day after day, hour after hour. He was there before the nation and assisting ministers to communicate government strategies. We'll be speaking to his colleagues, we'll be speaking to his friends, and we'll be, of course, hopefully speaking to his family at some point. For now, let's find out from the Northwest Premier, Job Mokgoro, how he has taken this news. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Mokgoro. Many of his comrades have said two very important words, I think, honesty and loyalty, and I think the third one has been passion. In the past two interviews we've just had, it seems that the one thing that people seem to admire about him is his ability to say, I'm sorry, which is something a lot of people don't really do.
Indeed, and thanks very much for the opportunity. There are a number of good things that I recall about Minister Mthembu. As a communicator, whenever he speaks, you read a lot of honesty in what he says. You read a lot of assertiveness in what he says. You sense clarity in terms of content. And above all, every time he does so, you see respect oozing out of this man. He reminds me of some of the things that Warren Buffett said about selecting people who would work for him. He identified three characteristics: intelligence, energy, and integrity. And he said, if you have the first two and you don't have the third one, then forget, don't take that person. And integrity was also a centerpiece in Minister Mthembu. I have had the privilege and opportunity to work and interact quite a lot with him when we were preparing to govern during the old Shell House at ANC meeting. And one of the things, every time I went to a meeting, I knew that Minister Mthembu, then Comrade Mthembu, would be at the meeting. Amongst others, we're serving in the Department of Economic Policy, in the Department of Economic Development, and it was really quite a pleasure and privilege to serve with him. A very articulate man, and whenever he speaks, the content of what he says would always be capturing, inviting, as I said earlier, because amongst others, his clarity, honesty, and assertiveness. We will certainly miss him. He is a great loss, not only to his family, not only to government, but I think to South Africa and beyond.
I think a lot of South Africans, or probably the later generations particularly, would be more familiar with his work in the latter years, and we've been trying to talk a little bit more about his work in the grassroots, and he was very instrumental, I believe, in the founding of NUMSA and also supporting the UDF structures. Of those, what would you say were some of his most important projects?
I would really say it's important from a project, in my view, especially in the latter years, was his appointment in the presidency, as a minister in the presidency, because I really think he did a lot to enhance further the prominent, presence and image of the presidency. He's really done, remarkably well in his last post within government.
And the fact that he was always so a valiant fighter of the truth in the tumultuous time, a lot of people have been talking about that, and also people have admired the fact that he never shied away when there was adverse reporting against him, allegations against him. The strength of character that he showed, what can we learn, and even you as politicians going forward, for those qualities that he brought to politics, to politicking?
Well, if we look back 2 weeks ago, we saw the devastating results or outcomes of the absence of truth in one country that calls itself the greatest country in the world. And we saw all over the world, we said, here it is, this country that boasts of the best and most developed democracy in the world, just because of lacking one critical quality, honesty. The country was showing very scary signs of collapse. And I think we have in our own South Africa, the divisions that we see, the factions that we see, how the impact on government is fundamentally because we simply are not committed to honesty.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, North West Premier Job Mokgoro.